Sometimes the most profound lessons in ancient texts are hiding in the verses that seem, well, the most shocking. Today, we're going to explore a line from the Lotus Sutra that sounds like a terrifying threat, but actually reveals a super deep teaching on compassion. So let's dive right in. Okay, well. Anyone who troubles the expounder of the Dharma shall have his head split into 7 pieces. I mean, that's some seriously violent language, right? Especially for a sacred text. It sounds like a straight-up brutal curse, a direct warning to anyone who would even think about interfering with the teaching. But is that really what's going on here? Is this a literal threat? Or maybe, just maybe, there's a much deeper metaphorical lesson hiding inside this really frightening image? So to really get what this verse is all about, we have to start with the obvious question. Who on earth would say something like this? The answer? Well, it might surprise you. All right, so get this. This vow is from chapter 26 of the Lotus Sutra, and it's spoken by 10 Rakshasi, which are basically a type of female demon in Buddhist cosmology, and this other figure called the Mother of Devils. So, wait a minute. The violent vow is coming from demonic figures? That just makes it even more mysterious, right? Why would beings we usually think of as, destructive, make this incredibly fierce promise of protection? And this is where it gets really interesting. See, these demons aren't just making threats for the fun of it. They actually state, right there, that their goal is to protect anyone who keeps and practices the Buddha Dharma. So, this super violent-sounding verse is actually framed as an act of protection. How does that even work? Okay, to figure this out, we've got to look past the literal words. I mean, what if the splitting isn't a physical thing at all? What if it's describing something completely different? And here's the big reveal. The source material suggests this isn't a curse. Not at all. It's actually a powerful description of a state of mind, a state of delusion. So the verse isn't doing something to a person, it's describing what's already happening inside them. And this idea of delusion is absolutely crucial here. We're not just talking about being a little confused. We're talking about the act of creating a whole separate reality for yourself. It's about building a wall between you and the rest of the world. And that wall is built out of fear. Fear that the world is out to get you. Okay, so if this split is really about delusion, what does that divided world actually look and feel like? What's the nature of this internal separation? This really lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have the world of delusion. It's totally run by fear, which makes us build up these barriers and live in a state of separation. But on the other side, you have the shared world, the one the Dharma's pointing us towards. And that world is based on courage, which allows for harmony and a real sense of unity with everything and everyone. And that brings us right back to that shocking image from the beginning, the split head. It's a metaphor, right? It's a mind that's at war with itself. It's a mind being torn apart, not by some demon, but by its own internal walls, its own self-made fear and separation. The damage? It's completely self-inflicted. So, if delusion is what causes this painful internal split, then what's the fix? Well, the good news is the text doesn't just point out the problem. It also shows us a path back to healing, back to wholeness. And that's exactly where the Buddhist teachings come in. You could say their whole purpose, in this context, is to give us the tools to break down that fear-based separation, like a roadmap for finding the courage to tear down our own walls and just live in harmony with the world. So this whole path is an inside job, right? Step 1, you have to actually see the barrier, the one that fear has built. Step 2, you have to actively work on developing the courage to live without it. And finally, step 3, through that whole process, you start to heal that painful split inside your own mind, and you start to become whole again. And this brings us all the way back around. Maybe it takes a demon to truly understand the horror of a mind divided against itself. Their vow, it isn't a threat. It's an act of deep, profound compassion. They're basically screaming at us, hey, don't mess with the teachings that can heal you, because if you do, the only person you're going to hurt is yourself. You'll just deepen that awful split inside your own head. It's a warning. Yeah, but it's a warning against the self-harm of living in delusion. So after all that, this ancient, kind of terrifying verse leaves us with a really personal question to chew on. If you look at your own life, your relationships, even our society, where are we building walls out of fear? Where are we creating our own separation? And maybe more importantly, What would it take to find the courage to live in harmony instead?